Kia ora, welcome back once again here with session number 7 in the Q&A. So let's jump on in. Question number 1. Should I worry about gear setup or keep it simple? I wouldn't say worry about gear setup, but I would say give it some time and attention. So make sure that your gear is squared away. I've sort of touched on the importance of equipment and gear, and I think there's a question about fundamentals. And so your equipment and gear, how you have it packed, where you have it packed, how you access it, the items that you need as efficiently as you can is important. So yeah, spend some time on your equipment in terms of how it's set up and how and where you access it in pitch black when you can't see, so that you just know where everything is. So definitely spend some time on that. That in and of itself is part of keeping it simple. So both of those go hand in hand. Spend time on your gear and equipment. Keep it simple by making sure that you can access everything as and when you need to, depending on the situation and or depending on the time of day. So I'll leave that one there. Next question. What part of your selection prep was a waste? Was a waste of time. So what part of my selection prep was a waste of time? This is a really good question. Again, another one of those questions that come through that really got me thinking. And when I spoke with this person, I didn't have an answer when they came out with that question straight off the bat. I really struggled in terms of trying to rack my brain to think about and what part of selection prep was a waste of time for me. And this was the same answer that I gave to this individual. I can't, even now, this is like a few days later since speaking with this individual, I can't think of a part of my selection training preparation that I feel was a waste of time. I think it was all relevant for me and that I needed to go through it. Some people may have thought that I was overtraining. I think even to a degree myself, I've touched on this before, that I probably may have been guilty of overtraining for both NZ and the Australian one, but not to the detriment of me being burnt out before going on to selection, if that makes sense. So I can't think of anything on my selection during my preparation that was a waste of time. So that was where we landed on that one. We had a bit of a chuckle and a laugh. And I just encouraged the individual, work on specifically the things that you are weakest at from a physical perspective. And if there's anything theoretically that you're not strong or competent at as well, or as good at, then definitely give time to those. That's that one. Next question. How much do small errors like admin mistakes count against you? This was another good question, like just things, and I think I've mentioned this on some of the other Q&A, there's some real thought that seems to have gone into these questions by the individuals. And so speaking with them, I got, or with this person, I got a chance to get a better understanding when he's saying, how much do small errors like admin mistakes count against you? It depends on what that is. So same as the response that I gave to this person. If by admin mistake you mean you are off on your bearing, we use mils here when we're taking the bearing. If you're out by a few mils on your bearing, you could end up kilometers away from where you're supposed to be. So how much does it count against you? Well, it will count against you in the fact that you haven't shown that you have the competence to be able to plot your bearings or take your bearings or navigate effectively. And it counts against you because now you're way over time. You're unlikely to make that time up. And if you're over time, if you've done those two things, you haven't shown that you can navigate properly, you're way off the mark, and now you're way over time, or you're probably going to get removed because you need to meet those timings and you need to get to the checkpoints within the timings. So it could go against you in a huge way. Now, if it was maybe you're in charge of your group and you've got to give a count, a roll call, attendance, a report to the DS about how many you've got, any injuries that you've got or walking wounded, those that may have withdrawn, or how much equipment and items that you have, number of jerry cans, concertina wire, star picket, sandbags, etc. The list goes on. And maybe if you got some of that wrong, so maybe you said you've got 20 jerry cans when you've really only got 15, that's probably, it's going to be frowned upon, but it's probably not going to be a deal breaker in the bigger scheme of things, depending on what the activity is. So you'll probably get drilled and reamed out over it, but it's probably not going to be as detrimental as the navigation example that I used. So hopefully that makes sense. Small errors, you want to try to avoid them, but the reality is you're probably going to make some errors and some mistakes. Like I've said in other videos, take ownership of those. Like, put your hand up if it's you that stuffed that up. Then, let the staff know that that was you. Let them see your character. Let them see your integrity to be able to own your mistakes and your shortfalls, and then try to do your best to make up for it and not make those mistakes again. All right. We'll make this the last question. Is visualization or mental rehearsal useful? Oh, I spoke with this individual about that. I honestly said I can't give you I can give you my thoughts, but my honest take is that I never used visualization or mental rehearsal before going on selection, or whilst being on cycle, or any time during both the New Zealand or the Australian selection and cycle periods. It wasn't a thing from my, I suppose, whether it's my generation or whatever, that aspect, I never looked at it or never considered it as part of my preparation for selection. I never considered it as part of my ongoing work on the cycle. Some might argue and say, well, I must have had some sort of visual blueprint in my mind. And yeah, I think that's true. Like, I knew that I was going to be struggling at different times. And I suppose my visual blueprint was around just being willing to suffer and put up with whatever the staff were going to ask me to do. But did I sit down and visually have a mental picture of the training that I'd be doing, the type of terrain? Did I visualize myself walking up these things easily or anything like that? I don't even know how that stuff works, to be honest. I didn't do that. So that part of the conversation with this individual was fairly short. But visualization and mental rehearsal, could it be useful? I think, yeah, it could be. And if I was competent or skilled or knowledgeable in that space, I would probably offer some advice around that. But I don't. I do think it probably has its place. Obviously, professional athletes and that sort of thing, you hear about, utilize visualization and mental tools all the time. So probably better off researching that particular space and seeing how you might be able to apply it to this context. I'm pretty sure these days, with the high performance parts embedded within the special forces units themselves these days, there's a lot of stuff that happens around psychology, mental preparation. A lot of that these days probably includes visualization and that type of stuff. But like I said, it wasn't part of my process. It wasn't part of the process once I was in the unit, in the Australian one. And I think that's been more of a development in recent years, taking a leap out of either professional sports and or delving more so into the psychological aspects of what it takes to operate and serve at the highest level within those units. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Probably doesn't, but anyway, that's my 2 cents. So we'll wrap that up there for this video. As always, hey, keep turning up, whatever challenges or struggles you might be going through, difficulties, etc., whether they're work-related, whether they're personal, whether they're relationship, whatever they might be, just keep turning up, stay in the fight, and until the next video.